Hey, good morning, folks. Thanks so much for joining me here on Wave Now. I'm Myra Ansari. We are going live to LMPD headquarters where they're talking about cracking down on car thefts. It's a huge problem. So they're talking about how they're recently used technology to track down car theft suspects. They're also going to be discussing new surveys that they're sending to citizens who have had interactions with the officers and the preliminary results of what they've received from them. So this press conference is getting ready to start here shortly. So we wanted to bring that to you live. But we know that car thefts, it's a major issue in all parts of our community where folks are having to deal with their cars being stolen. And sometimes those cars are being used in acts of crime, sometimes high-speed chases. So huge problem. So let's just wait for this press conference to start, folks.
That's the first interview opportunity. You got to jujitsu first before you get the
Paul said,
right?
Paul said he would wrap you up.
I'm going to mute this until I get a better gauge on when they're going to get started, just so we start on time.
We are going to show some drone video that's about a minute and a half long. It does not have audio. The chief's going to talk over what you're going to see. Per usual, immediately following the press conference, we'll upload the video to our YouTube page and make sure you have it so you can steal it, use it for roll if you want. We've got some good stuff to talk about today. We got some crime stuff. We're going to talk about some survey stuff that we're doing. Promotions were yesterday. We'll talk about that. And we just had a new helicopter added to our fleet yesterday. So the chief's going to talk about that. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? Sounds good. Everyone's ready to go. Anybody not ready? I think we're right on time. With that being said, Chief, it's yours. Thank you, sir.
All right, welcome everybody to our bi-weekly press conference where we get to take an opportunity to update you and the community on some of the things going on inside of LMPD. And as per usual, we'll start with kind of an overview of where our crime numbers stand, particularly on homicides and some of the more high-profile crimes. So you can still see that homicides are down 21%, non-fatal are still trending down, as well as carjackings and business robberies. We did have one homicide last week in the 4th Division on East Oak, and we're hoping that those detectives are out there. We know those detectives are out there doing some great work, and hoping we'll be able to make an arrest on that. One of the things that has caught some attention recently that I want to talk about is thefts from auto and auto thefts. Obviously, you know, in the previous couple of years, we've had the issues that everybody knows about regarding thefts of Hyundais and Kias. And some of that has dropped a little bit. And fortunately, when we talk about auto thefts themselves have gone down significantly, as you can see, almost 20%. But a very concerning thing is our thefts from auto. And so we want to make sure that people don't leave your cars unlocked. That is the biggest thing. What we see is people going around pulling door handles, and they're looking for targets of opportunity. And so do your part to make sure that you're not leaving your keys in your car, not leaving your key fobs in your car. Another small thing is take your garage door openers out of your car. So make sure that we're not creating these opportunities for people. One of the things that I want to highlight is that over the past couple of weeks or so, we've made some pretty significant numbers of arrests when it comes to auto theft and theft from autos. I think it was last week, 1st Division got in a foot chase with a 16-year-old who had stolen some Glock magazines out of a car down near Lynn Family Stadium. And then I'm going to highlight a few from just the 6th Division alone and some of the work that they've done. You see 5 different arrests here. And so one of these is a long-term investigation that was being done on a theft ring, and they were actually charged with syndication from the 6th Division. In this, they served 2 arrest warrants, a search warrant, apprehended the 3rd suspect later who had a stolen handgun. In the process of this investigation, the 6th Division Detective's Office recovered 20 firearms, including some that were stolen, a significant amount of cash, narcotics, as well as recovering a stolen vehicle. And they did all of that through these long-term investigations. So we've talked about vehicle pursuits recently. That's come up. And this is the way that we prefer to get people, when we can control the environment, when we can do it in a safe way, not putting the public at risk to address property crimes. And so we have detectives out there that are doing this type of work every day. 3rd Division's doing an outstanding job on it down in the Dixie Highway area. Another one that we had in the 6th Division just recently, they had a foot chase where officers responded to a citizen's call of someone looking suspicious that they were trying to break into cars, and turned into a foot chase. They were able to apprehend the person, and it turned out this person was responsible for multiple stolen cars, particularly Dodges that he was targeting. And then lastly, 6th Division just had a stolen vehicle earlier in the day that someone left running. So they went out to warm up their car. They left it running. Somebody hopped in the car. Obviously, don't do that. But we were able to apprehend that suspect after a investigation into that. So a lot of good work being done by these detectives out here to address this stolen car issue. And one of the things that we've tried to emphasize to detectives is use every part of the law available to you. So when you're talking about charging with syndication, you're talking about charging conspiracy. So 2 people go out and they're pulling door handles. That's a conspiracy, right? They're doing this crime together. So use every aspect of the law that you have available to you to make sure that we prosecute people to the fullest extent of the law. You can see here, I'll show you an example of one of these incidents where we had the drone unit come in to help. And so what this was, again, 6th Division, a car that was stolen in the area of Bardstown Road and Hikes Lane. When the subjects bailed from the car, the officers asked for more backup in the area of Shannon Drive. The 2 occupants fled into the neighborhood. The drone unit responded. Officers saturated the area, set up a good perimeter. And they were ultimately, because of the assistance of the drone unit, you can see this subject here hiding behind a shed in a backyard next to a privacy fence. Would have been very difficult to find him. And just so you understand what you're seeing is this is the thermal camera. And so you're looking at black hot, white cold on this image. So all of the things that produce heat are showing up as black. So you see that person hiding there behind that shed that the officers were able to take into custody. And then later, subject trying to walk away from the scene thinks he can casually just walk away without being spotted. And the drone was able to spot him and then direct officers towards him. So we're talking about, how much more effective we are through collaboration with both technology and the patrol officers on the street. This was a DFR drone through EMA that was being operated by one of our officers, Sergeant Roderer, who heads up our drone program internally. And so really, really good job by not only those officers on patrol to spot that vehicle, to get other resources into place, but then to ultimately coordinate all those resources and make sure that that person was safely taken into custody. So we'll move on to another thing that we've started recently. You all are familiar that we've been working with a company called Zen City now for an extended period of time. And one of the things that we recently started was feedback surveys. So these are surveys that get pushed out to people after they call the police and have a call for service. And it pushes a survey out to them that rates they have the opportunity to give us feedback because we understand that every single interaction that the police have matters to people. And so we want to be able to get that feedback, get that information from people about how they're feeling about the job that we are doing for them. And so there's a curated list of questions that gets pushed out to them. It does not go to everyone. We are not pushing out a survey to victims of sensitive crimes. So domestic violence victims, shooting victims, family members of homicide victims don't have this pushed out to them. But these are incidents like non-injury accidents, reckless driving, noise complaints, someone calls for a burglary report, those types of things. And so it gives people the opportunity to get that feedback. And then we can start to work with all of our internal resources to say, hey, these are areas where we are seeing needs for improvement in how we are responding to people. And I'll give you some of the survey results here. So you can see overall, people are completing these surveys. These have only been live for about 2 weeks-ish. Yeah, about 2 weeks. And so you can see overall, people are receiving these surveys and that overall satisfaction score. So you see that this is broken down into 4 categories of satisfaction overall, professionalism, reliability, and timeliness. And you can see that those are all in the 70 to 80% range. And so some of the information that we're going to try to find out is what is that benchmarking data of other agencies and kind of the standard across the country, so that we make sure that we are performing at a high level. And we want to be able to provide this information to officers so that they understand how is the community responding to their interactions. And then there's some open text fields where people can leave comments with specific information that they want about how their interaction went. And so you see some very positive comments here. And I think overall what we've seen through the time that we've been doing surveys is that people want the police. People know that they need the police. They enjoy knowing that police are in their neighborhoods keeping them safe, and they want to see more of that. And so we want to make sure that officers receive that and know how much the public desires to see them and is really satisfied with the job they're doing. But we're still going to raise the standard and expect an even higher level of professionalism and service. So as Matt kind of previewed, we did get a new helicopter delivered just yesterday. Unfortunately, it did take much longer than we expected, but it's here. You saw the drone earlier, and drones don't replace helicopters, right? There are limitations on drones of where they can go, how fast they can go, how high they can go, as well as their time that they can remain there. So this helicopter, as opposed to like a drone that might be able to be up for 30, 35, 40 minutes, obviously the helicopter can be up for several hours at a time. Whereas a drone has limited speed and range capabilities, the helicopter doesn't. Whereas the helicopter also has the ability to insert people. So this helicopter can carry 5 to 6 people at a time. So if we need to put people into an area or we need to evacuate people out of an area, it gives us all of these capabilities that we didn't necessarily have before. And so now having 2 helicopters, this gives us the ability, as much as helicopters go down for maintenance, this gives us the ability to have that resource available to officers out there as much as possible. So those pilots are extremely excited about that. And I know a lot of the officers on the street are glad to have that level of support. Yesterday we had promotions. So that's another great time for us, is when we get to recognize those people that have put in the hard work and have decided to take on leadership roles within the agency. We promoted 4 sergeants, 2 lieutenants, and 1 new major. And so we're very excited about that. We talked about setting a standard, holding people to a high standard, about their work ethic, and the work ethic that it took to get them to this place of leadership is not the same level of work ethic that it's going to take to sustain them at this new level. They're going to have to set their standard even higher for themselves and the people around them, and understanding what their role is and how they are really the conduits of what this department wants out of its people, and how they're going to be the ones that are leading our men and women every single day out here on the street. Lastly, we had a year-end summary or a year-end meeting for our convos and cuts, led by Sergeant Ina and Sergeant Donovan Duncan. And this is a project that they took on a while back, and we've kind of revamped it, and he's gotten it back out there. So last year they went to 8 separate barbershops. And so where they have the opportunity to create a space where people are comfortable coming and having difficult conversations, that it is just about that community police interaction where we can solve problems and work collaboratively. So Sergeant Ina was able to recognize those barbershops that hosted this past year. And the next one will start right back up after the new year, January 12th. at the barber shop on 3rd Street. It is literally called the Barber Shop. So right there at 3rd and just south of Ali. So very excited about that project and very proud of those officers who have come out to all of those. A couple of upcoming events for the week. Obviously, Alifa is in town. They were at the council meeting last night, and they will have a community meeting tonight, open to the public from 6 to 8 at Molina Health at 2028 West Broadway tonight. So come out and interact with the monitoring team, and so they can have an opportunity to introduce themselves to you, the community, and have some of that interaction. And another meeting that's happening this week is the Community Safety Commission. So that will be an open meeting on Friday from 1 to 2:30 at 500 West Jefferson on the 4th floor. So another opportunity for the community to come and be on the inside of what's happening within Metro government as it regards to public safety. So with that, I will open it to questions.
A bunch of helicopter questions.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of helicopter is it? Is it new or used? And how much did it cost?
So the questions were, what kind of helicopter is it? It's funny because I think I might even have deleted that out of my notes. It's a, what is it? It's a Bell AH-1 or something? No, that's it's an Airbus. Yeah, I deleted it out of my notes because I was like, I don't need to know that. I'll be all the way honest, Paul.
H-125.
Airbus H-125. And so fully outfitted, it ended up being in the range of $5 million. And it is a new helicopter. As you know, in the past, we have purchased used helicopters, but obviously there's wear and tear that comes with that, and a different maintenance schedule. And what was your last
I guess
question?
What happened to the previous one? It's just, you got rid of it.
So when we previously had two, we had one that was basically non-operational. And so that got sold for parts and everything like that. And then what you know is Air 20 is still available. So that gives us a rotation of helicopters. Yes, sir.
Can you talk more about the, you spoke about charging offenders with conspiracy, for instance, or adding more charges to something like auto theft or burglary. Is that something you've done in consultation with the attorney's office, or?
So we had a conversation with the Commonwealth Attorney, Dorena Weathers, about what are the things that we can do to make sure that people who are breaking into cars are held accountable. There's a few things that frustrate me more than a thief. When people work hard for the things that they have, they should feel comfortable that they get to enjoy them. And so we want to make sure that whatever we can do, including charging conspiracy charges. I mean, if you and I decide that we want to break into cars and we go out together, that's a conspiracy. And you drive me around so that I can pull door handles until we find a car, that's a conspiracy. And so we want to make sure that we're charging those things. And then obviously there's the syndicated crime that we saw in the 6th Division. And so that adds another layer to those types of charges. We can't use the gang statutes in a lot of these because obviously from a legal standpoint, gang has a certain definition that many of these don't meet. And so we're trying to make use of the law as much as we can.
We were reporting all year about homicide numbers being down, and now that we're reaching the end of the year, what specifically have you all been doing that you think is making these numbers go down?
So the question was, what have we been doing that has contributed to the drop in homicides? And I think there's a lot of credit to be shared with that. And first and foremost, I'll give a shout out to these officers out here on the street. When you look at our proactivity numbers, not just our enforcement numbers, but just the activity by officers, it's gone up exponentially. So we're talking about increased traffic stops, increased business checks, increased community contacts, where officers are going out there, they're doing the tough enforcement work. They're making criminals look over their shoulder and think twice about the things that they're doing, but they're also contacting members in the community and building those relationships where people are more willing to call us, have more faith in what we do and that we're going to do it the right way. And so first and foremost, I have to give a lot of credit to them, right? And this has been a coordinated effort by everyone on this agency, all of our civilian staff, all of our division commanders, to make sure that everyone out there understands what is expected of them. And then I'll also give credit to the community. I think we reached a point where the community is no longer tolerant of some of the behavior that we saw spikes in over the past few years. And so that is very important that people understand the need for the police to go out there and do this work, and that they feel comfortable in calling us and that we're going to take care of them.
And those numbers are down nationally, we've looked at. So what do you think you can attribute that to?
Yeah, so obviously there's a national trend that's going on, but all of the drops in Louisville are a credit to the people in Louisville. So it's a credit to the staff, it's a credit to the citizens of Louisville and the men and women of LMPD. I say that facetiously, but I don't, because this takes a lot of work. It takes a ton of work, and it takes a coordinated effort. And I think you've probably seen in many places that the lack of tolerance for what was happening across the country when it comes to violent crime. I think everyone reached that point where they said, we're not going to allow this to happen anymore. And we're going to make sure that we keep these communities safe. And that entails officers going out and being able to do that tough police work that we expect of them.
Chief, you talked about making sure that people that break into cars or that steal cars are held accountable. Is there anything that LMPD is doing or can do on the prevention side to prevent these things from happening in the first place? You showed the numbers of car break-ins going up. We hear from a lot of people that it's not just a matter of them leaving their cars unlocked, but people are breaking their car windows. Is there anything that LMPD is doing or can do on the prevention side?
Well, on the prevention side, I'm glad you brought that up, because obviously the easy thing is say to lock your doors, right? And we do have issues with people with rekeying devices and things like that they're professional thieves. I was about to use a pejorative, but I'll refrain. But we have professional thieves that's what they go out and do. And so it's very important. Like what you often see is when we make an arrest on a person or two or three for a car theft or car break-in, we're often able to clear dozens of car break-ins and car thefts because they are repeat offenders and they're doing this stuff over and over again. And I mean, even if you take it as far as, we've talked about our critical infrastructure task force and what they're doing as far as metal theft and things like that, that has an effect on what can happen with some of these cars, because some of these cars get stolen to scrap. The increased enforcement work of trying to catch these stolen cars and trying to make sure that we're holding those people accountable, and the increased awareness. And so we're taking everything that we can into account to try to both prevent and enforce when it comes to auto thefts and auto break-ins.
On the feedback surveys, if you guys get a bad review, do you follow up with these people?
So we're just now in the beginning stages of that.
Yeah.
And so following up with individuals, if someone needs a follow-up and they think they have a legitimate complaint, this is not the platform for this. This is really a sentiment platform. And if there is something concerning in there that somebody sees and says, hey, that's a problem, we need to follow up on that, we can certainly do that. But if someone has a complaint, we would prefer that they go through the legitimate documented routes of how that complaint process should go, either through the divisions or through PSU.
Are there any particular neighborhoods where you're noticing car break-ins becoming more common?
I wouldn't say there's particular neighborhoods where they're becoming more common. Car theft or car break-ins are, like I said, they're crimes of opportunity. One of the things that I would say is that one of the little hints of people breaking into cars or stealing cars, one of the little cues that people might not pay attention to, some of the ways they have to steal these cars requires them to turn the hazard lights on. So if you see one of your neighbor's cars sitting either in the driveway or on the street with its hazard lights on for no reason, it's probably a cue you need to call the police, because that is out of the ordinary. But this is a community-wide problem. This isn't isolated to a specific neighborhood.
Do y'all notice any uptick in car break-ins during the holiday season, either because of lots of shoppers and lots of opportunities, or just needing more money for holiday season, kind of stuff like that?
Yeah, generally we do see a trend from year to year that car break-ins do uptick during the holiday season because people are leaving valuables in their car. That is one thing that is another easy thing to say to do is hide things that you put in your car that are of value. Don't leave gifts, don't leave electronics, don't leave cell phones, that type of thing sitting out in plain view. So, thank you all.
I have one more
Oh,
question. for
okay.
you, Sorry. Just on the homicide notes, we obviously, it's a good thing that it's down right now, but for those families who are still looking for answers specifically this year, do you have a message for them?
So what kind of message do I have for the families of the homicide victims that we had? Every homicide it's terrible in its own way. Everyone is unique, and those aren't just numbers on a page, right? Those are individuals that lost their lives. Those are individual families that are hurting. And we are dedicating everything that we can to making sure that we bring justice, even though we know that that doesn't bring closure to a family. And so we want to make sure that we are giving them all of the resources available to making sure that they feel like the police department is here to take care of them. But that is the thing, that is why we are proud of the drop in homicides, because those are lives saved. Those are tragedies prevented. And so we take a lot of pride in making sure that we drive that number down, and we're going to continue to do that. And my heart goes out to every homicide victim's family who is going to be without a loved one during this holiday season.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
All right, folks, thanks for staying with me here on the stream. So a lot of interesting information came from this press conference. LMPD talking about car thefts and thefts from cars. I know that this is really frustrating for so many people. My neighborhood just got hit the other night. Several people where I live in my neighborhood, they had their car windows smashed out. And folks were wondering, well, what are you supposed to do? So you heard the chief say it's really a good idea to keep your car doors locked. Bring the garage door opener inside. Don't leave any valuables in your car. So some tips from them and how they're using also their drone technology to find these suspects who are often repeat offenders, and how they're looking to expand kind of the charges that they can apply in these cases. Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Franceschini is on this story for us today. He's going to have much more coming up later here on Wave. All right, I'll see you on Wave News at 3. Have a great day.